Alright, so we're back, and so as I mentioned in the prior video, we had this one here, 3951, converted to AVI. That was originally a movie file, and converted now to AVI. So that we can easily load into Dogwaffle. This is the Howler edition. Let's go to Animation menu and load AVI. And I need to go down to, let's see, not the presentation folder, but my Daily Dose, 8.2D and Palm Tree. So down here I got this short video of a palm tree that's kind of waving or blowing in the wind. Let's go load that. It's probably about 200 or 300 frames long. They're 296. Right, so let's go play that. And of course at this point it lost the audio track. Dogwaffle focuses on the video, I mean on the visual side of it, and so we don't have that. So the first thing we'll need to do perhaps is to stabilize this so that we can work on a more predictable area, like indicating, predicting where the actual tree is. We don't want it to move around too much. I had this handheld, and so it had a little bit of has a little bit of shaking going on here. So in order to stabilize it, maybe you have some other solutions, but with Dogwaffle you can do that too most of the time. And what we need to do is we need to identify an area that's not moving out of the picture, and that's kind of crisp and unique enough. So that will be difficult, because when you look at this here, for instance, if you took this area here, there's a lot of little bumps that look very similar, and we could potentially lose the tracker as we try to stabilize and lock onto that. So maybe it's better to get one of these guys or something else that might be unique. For instance, this little bump here might be kind of unique enough that it might not see something like that. The trick is to make sure that it's not being covered up. I see you have it covered up by some other branches there, so that's not going to work. And so it's not a trivial thing. What we'll do is we'll probably look at this guy here, this little detail here, this little notch. That might be a good one to stabilize on, and let's see if that works. So let's go to stabilize by going to the animated filter collection there and look for stabilize. And so the stabilizer, what it needs is a tracking point. You go and select the tracking point, click on that, and then indicate where you want it. And as I indicated, we want this point here. And so what's happening is that we have the red zone indicating the tracking point. That's the area we want to track. The blue box around it is the area where it might have moved to in the next frame. So you could make that a little bit smaller. That's the search area. You make that a little bit smaller if you know it is almost stable already. It's only moving by a small amount. Right? That's going to make it go faster. Also more predictable, because if you go out to a bigger area, it's going to potentially see other areas that look very similar. If you have some of these bumps here, it might confuse them, and it might think that that's what it is looking for. So it's probably better to keep it kind of tight as long as the next frames are going to be actually in that area. So let's give that a try, and let's see everything else. Let's just use the default to see how that goes. Yeah, and we already jumped off here, so that's not going to work. Let it go process to the end. And we may need to reload this video and try again, because what you can see here now, it did okay first, but then it jumps and went to a different position. Now that may actually not be too bad. Sometimes you have a portion of it that is kind of shaky, and then the rest is perfectly stabilized. So what you could do is simply dump those parts that you don't need if they are shaky, if they are too shaky. Right? So sometimes you need to manually stabilize or add a little bit of correction to that. Obviously this one's going to be a little bit of a difficult one, so let's try something different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to load a different technique here. Instead of stabilizing, is just slow it down. So I'm going to show you, let's load the AVI again, start from scratch. And this time I'm going to identify a portion of the video I really want to keep, and the rest will be deleted. So I'm going to say, okay, maybe I want from here till about here. So this part, the first part, the leading part, I want to delete. And basically I need to set the in point and then find the out point of that selection that I want to delete. So I'm going to say about this much, that's out. And you see here it's now in, it's got the blue outline here. I can right click on that and delete that block. Right, so it created a block from the in point to the out point, and I can now go delete that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is move to the end of the clip and find similarly a portion I don't want anymore at the end, maybe from here on to the very end. So I have now marked the in point. I don't know where it is. It's there somewhere. There it is. We see it with the orange box around it. And now I'm going to go to the last point and mark it as an out, and then you see the blue selection again. That's indicating we have a block selected now from the in to the out point, the in marker to the out marker. And I'm going to go and delete that block. So delete this block. So now we have essentially a block of fewer frames, 177. Perhaps still too many, but most importantly, I want to show you how to slow this down. So you know what, for the sake of exercise, I'm going to actually make this very short. I'm going to go say, let's keep only about 30 or so frames. Let's go something like from this point here, let's go this in point to the very end. Let's delete all that. Right, let's make the out marker. There you go. We have a big block. Let's go cut that out or delete that block. So in the end, we have now only a very short, maybe 30 or 40 frames. Or 43 frames here. All right, so how do we make, this is very short now, right? How do we make this last much longer? Well, we can slow it down with the motion prediction module. And so what I'll do is I'll go to the filter again and animate it. But this time, instead of stabilizing, what I'll do is the motion prediction module. And with the motion prediction module, you're going to essentially, let's run it in dry mode first. You're going to see if you can slow it down maybe 5 times. Let's put 5 here, 5 tweens, and see if that's going to work better. So this is going to actually still move, but it's going to move slower. Maybe we can make it 10 times. You know, we can get a fairly nice count here of number of frames, 421 frames. Okay, and in fact, then we do a refinement pass if we want it even at better quality. And then we can go do the dry run. So what that's going to do now, it's going to create 421 frames that are essentially calculated by motion interpolation, motion prediction, motion estimation, and then interpolation. And so that's a technique that you can use if you want to, if you cannot stabilize the video clip, there's too much motion, but you can perhaps afford to slow it down. And so let's see what we've got here now. Right, we've got now 420 frames. The first one is actually a copy of, or very close to the last one. So what we could do is delete that one. Let's go delete the first frame, and now we can play this and see that it's playing very slowly. Right, it's almost stable there. So it doesn't have much of that motion anymore, but that's the trade-off that you have here by saying, okay, I'm going to slow it down, but at least I don't have too much motion anymore. It's not jittery anymore from that handheld camera. All right, so in this case, and this we could possibly stabilize some more, right? I mean, if we had some good area to focus on, we could stabilize that. All right, so what I want to do now, though, is to see how can we key to that so that the background becomes transparent, and then we pick that up as a custom brush, right? So this is actually something we can do in a very similar way to what we did with the static images. And let's do that in the next video.